Joy, we appreciate you being with us today. We'll get started in 1 minute. Okay. All right. As we settle in, welcome. That beautiful music that you are hearing in the background to set our tone of joy and energy. That is our Detroit genius, Caleb Waterman. Go ahead and Google his name and find out all about him. As you are settling in, please drop in the chat your name and one thing that brings you joy. And that teacher in me is going to tell you we are going to get started in 15 seconds so you can prepare the time to shift your mind and get ready to indulge and enjoy our time. So we have now about 10 more seconds before we will start. Thank you for being with us. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone. It is so good to see some beautiful, brave, and brilliant faces out there. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. My name is Carmen Kennedy Rogers, and on behalf of the Skillman Foundation, we are offering deep, deep honor and gratitude for all of you. We have individuals with us today who will be joining us from Detroit, the Tri-County area, from across Michigan, and from across the country. Thank you for taking space and making space to be with us today. Most importantly, we hope that the next 57 minutes serve you and your well-being. Again, my name is Carmen Kennedy Rogers. I serve as the Senior Program Officer for the Skillman Foundation. I lead the K-12 education work. We work to ensure Detroit youth achieve their highest aspirations. We are focused on strengthening K-12 education, out-of-school time opportunities, and college and career pathways in Detroit. To learn more about the Skillman Foundation, visit skillman.org or follow us on just about any social media platform. So when you visit our website, you will have the opportunity to watch our video, How Are the Children? How Are the Children is a traditional greeting of the Maasai tribe warriors. This greeting amplifies that the true strength of a community is determined by the well-being of its children. We know that a key factor in our children being healthy and thriving depends on the well-being of the adults who serve, lead, and love them. So you are here right now because you show up with and you show up for our children each and every day in whatever role you play and from wherever you are. So we are honored. We are absolutely honored today to hold this space for each of you. So we are asking you to sit down, to take a breath, to pause. Your self-care is unselfish. I will say that again. Your self-care is unselfish. Prioritizing your self-care is what is needed so that our children, all of our beautiful, brilliant, brave children, can continue to thrive. Our time together today is about these 3 sets of liberating action steps. Set number 1, listen and reflect. First, we will listen to the voices and narratives of our 3 guests during the table talk. In addition to listening to their voices, may you take the space to reflect upon your journey of self-care as you serve, lead, and love children. And set number 2 of liberating action steps, connect and engage. During the second half of our session, you will stroll into a virtual breakout room to connect and engage with others to discuss liberating self-care. And finally, set number 3, prioritize and celebrate joy. We hope each of you walk away today from our time together with a call to action to prioritize and celebrate personal joy so that you can continue to serve, lead, and love children in all the ways that you do. Please continue to use the chat, adding your comments and good energy. I will continue to welcome people into this space as you join us in the chat. Please drop your name and what absolutely brings you joy. So now it is time to share the goodness of our guests with all of us today. I'm going to capture the opportunity to share who they are as human beings and leaders as I gift them with words, special words from their colleagues. So I pose this prompt to their colleagues. When you think about Kim or Erin or Nick as a human being, educator, champion, and leader, what resonates with you about her or his leadership and impact through the joyful times and the challenging times? So I will start with Principal Nicholas Brown. Nick is the principal at the Academy of the Americas, a Spanish dual language immersion school in the Detroit Public Schools Community District. And I connected with Assistant Principal Michelle Aesop, and I am sharing her words about Principal Brown with all of us. Principal Brown lives out his leadership by being of service to others. Due to his personal school experiences growing up, he remains dedicated to making sure the school offers many opportunities for children to explore and embrace their cultural roots and identities. In prompting and promoting self-care for his staff, he will say, I want you to take a day so you don't have to take a week. His staff depends on Brown Talks because he is sincere and he speaks from the heart. Through unstable times, Principal Brown offers peace, patience, stability, and calmness. So welcome, Principal Nicholas Brown. Our next guest is Erin Wills. She is the principal at the Detroit Leadership Academy, a pre-K through 8th grade school, an equity education charter school. And I had the opportunity to connect with Sonia Lewis, a teacher leader at Detroit Leadership Academy. And this is what Ms. Lewis wanted to share. Principal Wills is a visionary leader and a community builder. Staff, students, and families trust Principal Wills because she leads the school with love, integrity, and courage. Through challenging times, she gives you space to process. At the same time, she remains in partnership with you by meeting you where you are and offering guidance on how to move forward. She offers stability and stays the course despite the disruptions and challenges. With children at the center always, she lives out the message of, I'm in this fight with you, I'm jumping in with both feet. And so now we welcome Principal Wills. And our next guest is Kimberly Johnson. She is the founder, president, and CEO of Developing K.I.D.S, a community-based youth development organization in Detroit. Toy Bland, the program director for Developing K.I.D.S, shared these words about Kim. Kim Johnson is one of the most authentic, thoughtful, kind-hearted, visionary leaders that I know. She is compassionate about the development of others and creating healthy environments for growth. She is a change agent. Kim is the leader that prays for you, cries with you, and will give you time off if needed. Together, we have faced many trials and tribulations, all while maintaining integrity. The challenges throughout the years have made our relationship stronger and our impact in the community greater. So we offer great gratitude today to Nick, to Erin, and to Kim for being with us. So it is time to get started on our first set of liberating calls to action. If you are joining us, I invite you to drop your name in the chat along with one thing that brings you joy as we enter into the next part of our time together. So I recall that our first set of liberating action steps: listen and reflect. We hope that as you listen to the reflections and words of Erin, Kim, and Nick, you have the opportunity to think about what resonates with your self-care and your professional walk. So our first question. The first question will start with Erin and then Kim and Nick. For those working in service of others, making time to prioritize yourself is hard. Share with us what made you realize you needed to get serious about self-care and your personal wellness. And Erin, we will start with you.
Thank you. That was so unexpected and touching, Carmen. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. If any of you can get half as much as I just got in the first 5 minutes, then we're going to have a great session. I wanted to just share with you that probably the first time that I really became aware of prioritizing myself was thanks to who is now my husband, but wasn't at the time. He would see me running around trying to do a million things. And then inevitably, after running around trying to do a gazillion things, I would get overwhelmed because I hadn't learned how to say no to anything. And then I would be crying saying, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I just don't know how I'm going to get everything done. And I hope I can say this on this panel, but he very nicely said, girl, that's because you need to sit your down somewhere and relax yourself. And I started thinking about it and I was like, man, he really has a point, because my constant trying to do everything, I then was emptying my cup. And one of my favorite sayings is, you can't pour out of an empty cup. So I credit Joe with that. And then I think the second time that I really started realizing I needed to prioritize myself is when we had a crisis in our family with one of my sisters. Unfortunately, we discovered, I actually made the grim discovery that she was addicted to heroin and has 3 children of her own. And it was a real family crisis, as you can imagine. And what I realized is that I was spending so much time trying to deal with that crisis that I then didn't have enough to be a good leader and something else. So at that point, I decided to start seeing a therapist, which has really been invaluable in my own journey, because it's a place that I can kind of put that stuff and then keep moving.
And so thank you, Erin. We appreciate your honest, real talk with us. So Kim, what you got?
Well, similar to Erin, it's just thinking of myself. My husband is the person who would hold me accountable for self-care. This pandemic has just let me know that moments in life is precious and I need to do better. At the start of the pandemic, I lost quite a few people that are my age, which is 25. I'll let you believe that. So that are my age, who had children, some of them young children, and they lost their lives to COVID because they had health conditions. So I just started reading more and learning how stress alone can cause so many illnesses. And then I can reflect back on almost losing my own husband at the start of the pandemic. Here, it was the middle of March. He was sick, being told that he didn't have COVID. It was just a virus. Then finding out he did, hospitalized, all of that. And I never stopped working. I continued to work, taking phone calls, helping everyone else with all of their struggles and their challenges and dealing with COVID, and not even really taking a moment to stop and think about my own health and what was happening. Realizing a couple months later that I have PTSD from that. And, you know, waking up and hoping that he's still alive sometimes in the middle of the night. And so realizing how that has impacted my life and learning that that was not self-care for me to keep moving and I had to do better. So it's about caring for myself. So I vowed to make all of my doctor's appointments last year and keep those appointments and annually go to them instead of making sure everyone else does that. Trying to exercise regularly. I'm almost there. Modifying my diet. I really don't eat bad, but it's not that good. I have to drink more water. I have fallen off the wagon a little bit with the Pepsi, trying to, stay away from it. So, and just planning time to do things for myself, things that give me joy, like planting flowers, comedy shows, and baking.
Thank you, Kim. I'm actually going to raise up Tiffany Brown, one of our participants. She just dropped in the chat. She said, transparency is strength. I'm grateful for this space. And just off the bat, I am very grateful for the honest, real talk from Kim and Erin. So thank you both. And thank you, Tiffany. And as we continue to welcome people into the space, please continue to drop your name in the chat. Please offer one thing that brings you joy. And go ahead and let's put good energy into the chat, raise up your comments, make your thinking visible. We are honored to have you in this space. And so Principal Nick Brown, you're gonna bring it on home for us. Share with us about prioritizing self-care and what made you get real about it.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, on the positive side, similar to what was mentioned, family plays a huge role. I've always said to folks, being in education is dangerous if you're single, because it's easy to kind of lose yourself in the profession and just make that your world. And so if you are single in this profession, I definitely recommend if, you have close family, friends who can be the ones to kind of remind you and be kind of those lighthouses to kind of be an indicator that, hey, don't forget about you, don't forget about you. So my wife, for me, definitely, stays on me about it to varying degrees of effect. But the point is, she never gives up. She's always consistent with it. And I would say, the pandemic for sure, and anytime you have kind of like big moments where you have a chance to pause and reflect. And when the pandemic hit and everything kind of froze in time and you started to take account, or I started to take account just kind of all things, I liken it to a story I would tell my kids when I was teaching in social studies about, humans didn't really advance till we stopped chasing our food. And we had a chance to grow and cultivate and be in one place and didn't always have to be out hunting. And sometimes this job can feel like you're chasing those metrics or chasing those goals or always, being active, trying to pursue these targets. And when you have a chance to just stop and just take it into account, that was, a moment, in the pandemic and others where you can kind of do that and reset and recharge. So that's what I would share about that.
Thank you, Nick. So Kim, this question is for you. So speaking of our leadership, I wanted to share for each person as I go through the questions, I will introduce to you some of their mantras. So Kim's mantra in regards to leading through uncertainties is just keep it moving. K-I-M. Her name is Kim. So keep it moving. So these questions for Kim, these questions are about reflecting on how wellness impacts your leadership. We know that the pandemic continues to unravel. There are constant calls to action for social justice. In thinking about your leadership values and practices, how are you responding to, leading, and loving your community while taking care of yourself? And you did speak about that earlier. How have you extended a practice of self-care and focus on personal wellness to your staff?
Well, for the first part of your question, as far as responding to leading and loving the community while caring for myself, the past 30 days is not a good example. So please just disregard the past 30 days of how life has been. You know, my mother had an unexpected surgery almost exactly a month ago. I had recently a death in the family. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, trying to balance being pulled by community needs and being present for my family and my friends. It's challenging. You know, we have participants right now that are struggling. And even though I may not talk directly to some of them I do, they all have my cell phone number and they will call whatever time that they need assistance. So balancing that too. And, you know, I really appreciate my husband and understanding us when those needs and those calls happen. But, you know, everything from checking themselves into a mental health facility from college, you know, being diagnosed with mental health challenges, grieving, racial tensions and biases that are occurring in their lives, in my own life. It's just a lot. Even when those young people, it's great because we're the caring adults in their lives, but they also depend on us to be there. So getting a call on Friday night asking us to come to a Saturday college graduation. Do you drop everything and do you go? Balancing that. I'm often in prayer and leading by empowering myself around these subjects, such as, you know, as I mentioned those before, but educating myself about the statistics, resources, so that I can help to serve them and share them with the community that we serve. I use Saturdays as that's reserved for my husband. That was like his Saturdays are for me. You're not the CEO of Developing K.I.D.S. And so I stick to that. If I'm doing something on a Saturday, it will be very short and early in the morning, and I have to give him that time. My son, we do things through the week, but Sunday evenings is reserved for him, and sticking to that and spending time with them brings me joy and it makes me happy. I sleep in on Sundays, especially now that I can watch church on Facebook any time of the day. I love to sleep and dream. That makes me happy. So it's the run of self-care that works for me. Also, I've extended, you know, as far as to my staff, we have a practice of doing very fun retreats 3 times a year. You know, it can range from winter Segway rides to the city to light festivals, bike rides, but we do those things and they are planned by me for them because I want to show them that I appreciate them and give them time for us to bond and build relationships, to enjoy and explore the city that we work in, the city that we serve our families in. We do lunches in the office. If someone needs a personal care day, that's okay. I think it was Nick that said it. I'd rather give you a day than have to give you a week, wanting you to take care of yourself. And it's okay to stop and have brain breaks during the day. Go for a drive, go for a walk, have an iceberg as a group or individually, because they tirelessly hold the emotions, the trauma, and the tragedies of those that we serve. And so I want to make sure that they come best prepared to shine for the families and their jobs and their own families.
Thank you, Kim. I deeply appreciated you holding space for other people. You're setting your boundaries and really like the sleeping and dreaming. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Erin, next question is for you. So Erin's leadership mantra through the tough times, she has several. Joy in the process, peace. I'm sorry, I messed it up. I'm sorry, Erin. I don't want to mess up your mantra. So let's start over. Roll that on back. All right, here we go. Joy in the journey, peace in the process. And don't work hard, work more intentionally. So these questions that I'm offering to Erin, they are exploring the connection between personal wellness and culturally responsive leadership. So Erin, in what ways does being a culturally responsive leader give you strength? And real talk, in what ways do you find your strength taxed, stretched, and strained?
Attention.
So thank you, Carmen. I would say that the way that let me back up a little bit. Kim very quickly alluded to the racial tensions that have been happening this year in a very strong light. So when things first happened with George Floyd, just to give you a concept of my lens around that, I'm married to a man who is Black, and the community I serve is 99% Black constituents. And so in that moment, I felt the pain of the people around me very intensely, and also felt that it was, obviously, if I've been doing this for a while, I believe that I have already been advocating to break some of the systemic issues, but it was a new burden. And so being culturally responsive strengthens me by saying, maybe I can help other people who identify with the skin I'm in be a little more aware and start advocating and joining the fight, not just having awareness of a problem, but getting into the fight to solve the problem. And that strengthens me by knowing that I'm trying to do something to be anti-racist, not to just speak about it. How does it tax me? I think the way that it taxes me is that we see the impacts of a white supremacist racist society every single day in our work. And we see the impact that it has on children who are the most heavily, in my opinion, victimized by a system because they don't get to choose things. Things are chosen for them. And so it's the constant, and Kim alluded to this a little bit too, it's the constant never-ending cycle of hearing tales of trauma. And specifically this year, I was thinking about how many deaths we've had in our community of our students, close family members, as well as my staff, having multiple people just within the last 2 weeks. One of my leaders experienced the death of her father-in-law, the death of her cousin, and then her own father-in-law her own father going into ICU within 3 days of each other. Those things happen within 3 days. And so the constant. And I think that the nature of always being the person that people come to share the hard stuff and to help them through the hard stuff can become very taxing. So recently I kind of was thinking about this, and one thing that I'm learning to do better for my self-care is to reach out to other people who understand the work and can share what they're doing. So I recently reached out to a pastor in our community who does a lot of work with my school. And I said, Pastor, I'm at the end of my rope, man. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the end of this school year. This year is crazy. And he said, Erin, this will probably be really hard for you to do, but one thing that you have to do and prioritize is stepping away. And I'm like, could you be a little more specific what you mean? He's like, I mean, for a designated period of time, at least a half a day every week, do nothing related to work. And if you can swing one weekend a month, do that, because getting out of that space is the only thing that will restore what's missing. So I have started to be more intentional about doing that. And for me, one of the best ways that I've found to step away is to be outside with my dog. That really builds like some resilience for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And so earlier at the top, you said not just speaking about it, but be about it. I just want everybody to hear what she said. Don't just speak about it, be about it, number one. And then when you talked about the constant, you turn to your community of support, your circle of love and support. And so it is okay to say, you know what, I ain't got it right now and I need to be held up and to step away. So thank you, Erin. We appreciate you. And so our next question, Nick. So Nick's leadership mantra during challenging times, trust in the universe, period. Amen. Yes, you got to trust in the universe. So, so this question is uncovering the intentional connection between the wellness of staff and student outcomes. We know that resilience is the act of bouncing forward. How does cultivating resilience in teachers and staff lead to long-term sustainable impact on student outcomes, outcomes that dismantle and break apart generational deficits and barriers?
Yeah, you know, when I say trust in the universe, you know, it means, you know, don't get too focused on that which you feel you need to control. Understand that a lot of times circumstances that are out of your control are just the thing you need, or just the thing that can kind of lead the way if you're paying attention to what's going on and trying to kind of piece things together. I came into AOA in a moment as principal. I mean, I've been at AOA for 22 years, but came in as principal after a 2-year stint at Earhart. And AOA had just suffered the loss of their principal, the one who gave me my first opportunity at being an administrator as AP, Denise Fielder. She had passed away due to a long bout with cancer. And so I came in at a time when AOA was healing, the teachers, the community, and me personally, as she was a close personal friend of mine. And so I immediately had to get into this role, and that was a top priority, was to kind of build up that resilience, the family, feeling, the love, the care, the empathy for each other as staff, students. That was one of the main things that I came into the job doing. And the interesting thing, typically what you come into a role like this, starting off, are the things that kind of last. I mean, you add on over time, but you know, your first year as a leader and whatever your role is, you know, you go in with the things that you hold most dear and that are most important to you. And so for me, it was about building up that resilience, but not by directly, say, teaching resilience, but it was more about the things that are components of resilience, which to me have always been, resilience is not something you develop in a vacuum, it's not something you develop alone. It's something that it's a community tenant, whether it's your immediate family, whether it's your friends, your workplace. These are things that I felt like, you know, I need to promote, you know, teachers reaching out to each other, staff reaching out to students, to families, you know, wanting to make a priority to care about these things, not only just the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, not only about test scores, but we need to care about these other things and put it out there as important. So yes, we need to have celebrations for the community. We need to have parties. We need to have dances. We need to have things that are going to bring us together in other ways other than just reading and writing, assessing. And during a time over these last few years where there's such a push for, again, these metrics and test scores or whatnot, and you feel like, well, aren't we sacrificing time on who we can prepare these kids for these assessments? And I'm like, no, you know, we'll gain by taking time to focus on some of these other things. It's okay to take a break from curriculum and work with the kids on putting together a presentation for their families for an assembly that we're doing. It's okay to do these things because when the difficult times hit, you know, when it comes time for us to search for who cares about me, who loves me, who's looking out for me, those are the things that they're going to come to the forefront. Those are the things that are going to strengthen those bonds. They already know that you definitely care about them learning, but they need to know that you care about life and the impact, you know, that life has on them and each other. And so that's something that we, you know, attack as a unit, as a school. And I definitely think those are the things that lead to resilience. So it's more about what are the components, what are the things that'll build it. That's how you get it. And those are the things that the kids will take away out of school into their homes and their communities.
So did we all capture that right there? Resilience is a community tenet. Like, let's just sit with that for like 3 seconds, because I know we run out of time, but we just need to sit for that for 3 seconds. Because regardless of the space that you're in, schools, community, organizations, hospitals, wherever you are, Principal Brown said resilience is a community tenet. And he talked about, for those of us, we really appreciate this, get beyond the metrics and let's get to the heart. So thank you. That was a Brown talk, by the way, and just in case anybody missed that. Okay, so to honor our time, appreciate all three of you. We're going to make some shifts and pivots here. We have about 1 minute left. Starting with Kim, give your best tip, your number one tip for practicing self-care to restore and to have resilience. Go.
Do what works for you. Dance like no one is watching. Laugh your heart away, because laughter is good for the soul. And Groupon is awesome. Go to archery, get a massage for about $30. Do it, but do what works for you and love yourself.
Thank you, Kim. And Erin, what you got? What you giving us right now?
I agree with Kim, but I'm going to say for me, worship music or whatever kind of music you love, and mindfulness, really taking a moment to be still.
All right, Principal Brown, Nick Brown, you are bringing us on home. Best tip you got for our audience right now?
Always remind yourself to find your way back home. Life is going to throw things at you to knock you off of your center. Make it a practice to remember, I got hit with this by life. Let me work my way back to my center, whatever that is. That's my takeaway.
All right. So we need to get some gratitude and love to Kim, Erin, and Nick. So whatever works from you. You got emojis on Zoom. You got silent applause. You have the signal of thank you. You can come off of mute and clap, but let's give it up and let's give it all to Kim, Erin, and Nick. Thank you so much. We're gonna do it all right here. Woo! Yes. Okay, so medicine for your heart. Danielle Ponder, go ahead and Google her. Danielle Ponder is a brilliant musical artist. In her song, Be Gentle, she speaks truth about self-love for 2 minutes and 52 seconds. I will share with you a few of her simple, powerful messages for our self-care journeys. These words are not always easy to put into action. However, we must try. Here are the four messages I want to share with you. Be gentle to yourself. Be the place where your heart is lifted up. Lift yourself higher. This world will have you looking everywhere, but inside, you're safe. Danielle Ponder, find her, honor her music, her voice, her spirit. So now it is time to stroll into our virtual breakout rooms with the vibe of the song, Be Gentle, coupled with the words and thoughts and honest feedback and insight shared by Erin, Kim, and Nick during our table talk. If you recall, our second set of liberating action steps is connect and engage. In the breakout rooms, we hope that you are able to connect and engage with others as you gift and receive self-care tips. Each room has a designated room host who will facilitate the conversation. Once you enter into that room, that person will identify who he or she is. I will share with you the discussion prompt, and Natalie will also drop it in the chat. So here's the prompt. As you reflect across all aspects of life, offer the gift of sharing a self-care tip that has been transformative in your life. If you wish, please share how it has served your resilience. As you listen to others, may you receive radical self-care tips. So you are gifting self-care tips and you are receiving self-care tips. There are two norms we need to follow. Please share your name first, because who you are is very important. So share your name when speaking. And the second one, take space, make space. Feel free to share your voice while being mindful of others' desire to share or just listen. We will return back to our larger community at 4:57 for our final minutes together. So enjoy strolling into some self-care time. Thank you. We'll see you back at 4:57.
After I spoke to the Lord.
Thank you, Stacy. And so what's happening right now, Stacy, the rest of the group was coming back into the room and they had the opportunity to hear your radical self-care tip. And for those of you who did not get a chance, Stacy shared with us, she wakes up with a rejoicing spirit. She takes care of herself first and she lives like she believes. So thank you, Stacy, for sharing your voice. And thank you, everyone, from all of our room hosts to our 85 some people, for being patient with us as we navigate this Zoom world. We greatly appreciate it. Again, self-care tip, life is yoga. You have to be flexible and take a deep breath. So we are wrapping up now. And I purposely paused right there because I am so grateful that we had this time together. And so our third set of liberating action steps: prioritize and celebrate joy. Promise yourself moving forward, not moving on. I'm very purposeful in my language. Promise yourself moving forward to pause for your wellness, retreat to radical self-care. In the words of Danielle Ponder, be the place where your heart is lifted up so you can lift up the hearts and the minds of children. At the Skillman Foundation, we are energized and inspired by the work and the dedication of our partners. We appreciate you being partners with us as we work together to disrupt and dismantle the systemic inequities that are covering our brilliant, beautiful children so they can shine and thrive. So we continue to invite you into the space and continue to have this community. We invite you to join us in the virtual space on June 23rd at 1 p.m. My colleague and partner in goodness, Terry Whitfield, the lead of our out of school time strategy, will be hosting a critical and crucial conversation on champion Black leaders. The title is Let's Talk About It, Supporting Black-Led Nonprofits. So join us on June 23rd. And for our teachers in the space right now, we also invite you to our first Teach 313 Healing Circle on Thursday, May 27th at 4 p.m. We would like to offer you a mindful space to restore. And this is led by another one of my good partners in goodness, Tui Roper. She is a senior program officer at the Detroit Children's Fund. All event information will be dropped in the chat. It also can be found on our website. You will get emails. And finally, I'm going to take this 10 seconds to give gratitude to some folks. So first, gratitude to each and every one of you for being present in this virtual space today. Thank you for holding space. Thank you for offering space. Gratitude to Nick, Erin, and Kim for their service, for their voice, for their energy. High fives and appreciation for the patience of all the room hosts. We appreciate your preparation. We know they didn't quite work out according to our plan, but we kept it moving. Thank you. And big hug to Mark and Natalie. Natalie is our Director of Communications at the Foundation. Mark is our Communications Fellow. Thank you so much, Natalie and Mark, for your diligence, your creativity, and your partnership. Today's recording will be found on the Skillman Foundation website. And now I'm going to take a deep breath. May you be unapologetic as you lean into your self-care. Thank you, beautiful, brilliant people. May all be well. Take care of yourselves.